Hi Reds, welcome back to another massive Manchester United transfer update because we are entering the final stretch of the summer transfer window and there is absolutely no shortage of drama surrounding Old Trafford. Manchester United still have important business to do before the window slams shut, and the latest reports are giving us plenty to talk about. We have developments surrounding Marcus Rashford, Bruno Fernandes, Carlos Baleba, the left-back position, Lewis Hall, Adam Wharton and even Bayern Munich defender Kim Min-jae. So, Reds, there are some very interesting questions here. Who could actually arrive at Old Trafford before the deadline? Could Manchester United make one more major signing in midfield? Is left-back now genuinely the priority? And perhaps most importantly, should United even consider selling one of their biggest stars if a huge offer arrives? Let's start with Marcus Rashford because there has been fresh movement around his situation. One of Turkey's big three clubs reportedly made an inquiry with Rashford's representatives yesterday over a potential transfer. The club wanted to understand the current situation surrounding the England international and asked for details regarding his availability and possible conditions for a move. Now, that immediately raises eyebrows among Manchester United supporters. Whenever a major club starts making inquiries about a player like Rashford, naturally the rumours begin flying around. But Reds, there is another side to this story that we absolutely have to consider. The current expectation from other sources is that Rashford will stay at Manchester United, and in my opinion, that is a very important point. An inquiry does not mean a transfer is close. An inquiry does not mean Manchester United are negotiating a sale, and it certainly does not mean Rashford is packing his bags and leaving Old Trafford. Manchester United have already seen plenty of speculation surrounding Rashford, and the club now have a decision to make regarding his future. If he remains at Old Trafford, the big question is whether Michael Carrick can get the best version of the player back into the Manchester United setup. Because let's be honest, Reds, at his best, Marcus Rashford can be a serious weapon. We have seen him produce explosive performances for Manchester United, score important goals and cause absolute nightmares for defenders when he is confident and running into space. The question is whether we are going to see that version of Rashford again. Personally, I would not be rushing to sell him unless the club receive an offer that is simply too good to refuse. But what do you think, Reds? If you were Manchester United, would you keep Marcus Rashford for another season and give him a fresh opportunity under Michael Carrick, or would you cash in if a serious offer arrives? Let me know in the comments, because this is definitely one of the biggest questions surrounding the squad. Now, let's move to Bruno Fernandes, because this one is absolutely fascinating. According to the latest report from James Ducker of The Telegraph, Galatasaray are prepared to double Bruno Fernandes' wages in an attempt to lure the Manchester United captain away from Old Trafford. The Turkish club are reportedly ready to test Manchester United's resolve this week with a package worth around 50 million euros, including add-ons. But here is the key part, Reds. Manchester United are steadfastly opposed to selling Bruno Fernandes. And honestly, I completely understand that position. Bruno Fernandes is not just another player in this Manchester United squad. He is the captain, the creative heartbeat, and one of the most influential figures in the dressing room. So even if Galatasaray are prepared to put a huge financial package on the table, Manchester United have absolutely no reason to make this easy. The 50 million euro package being discussed is also something that deserves serious debate. If United were to sell Bruno, would 50 million euros really represent his importance to this football club? In my opinion, absolutely not. Forget the wages for a moment. Forget the transfer fee. Think about what Bruno brings on the pitch and inside the dressing room. He is the player who demands the ball, takes responsibility, creates chances, scores goals and constantly tries to push the team forward. If Manchester United are serious about building something under Michael Carrick, selling Bruno Fernandes at this stage would send a very strange message. Imagine United going into a new Premier League campaign without their captain and one of their main attacking creators. That would be a massive gamble. So, Reds, would you reject 50 million euros for Bruno Fernandes immediately? For me, the answer is yes. I would keep Bruno. Now, let's move into midfield because Carlos Baleba is once again becoming one of the biggest names in the Manchester United transfer conversation. Brighton could now reportedly consider offers in the region of £60 million to £65 million for Carlos Baleba. That is a very interesting development, because Brighton had previously placed a valuation of more than £100 million on the midfielder. Manchester United have been monitoring Baleba for more than a year, while Newcastle are also interested in the player. And this is where things become very interesting. If Brighton's valuation really has dropped from the £100 million plus territory towards £60 million or £65 million, suddenly the situation looks completely different. Remember, Reds, Manchester United have been looking for more strength and quality in midfield, especially after the injury problems surrounding Manuel Ugarte and the changes taking place in the squad. United already have new midfield options arriving, including Andrés Santos and Youri Tielemans. But the question remains, do they need one more player who can bring physicality, defensive power, ball carrying and energy into the middle of the pitch? That is where Bareba becomes so attractive. The Cameroon international has the physical profile to compete in the Premier League, and his ability to carry the ball through midfield makes him an extremely interesting option. But £60 million to £65 million is still serious money. Would I pay it? If Manchester United genuinely believe Baleba is the midfielder who can become a key part of the team for the next 5 or 6 years, then I would seriously consider it. But United cannot afford to panic buy. The club must have a clear plan. If the recruitment team believes Baleba is the right player for Carrick's football, then go for him. But if the club are simply reacting to injuries and the pressure of the transfer deadline, then they need to be careful. And let's not forget Newcastle. They are also interested. So, Reds, if Brighton really are willing to listen to offers around £60 million to £65 million, should Manchester United go all in for Carlos Baleba? Would you rather see United spend that money on Baleba or strengthen another position? Because that takes us perfectly to what appears to be the biggest priority right now, left back. Manchester United are reportedly cranking up their plans to sign a new left-back after deciding that the position is the most pressing issue that needs to be fixed in Michael Carrick's squad ahead of the new season. And honestly, Reds, this makes a lot of sense. According to Ty Marshall of the Manchester Evening News, left-back is now viewed as the area of the squad most in need of investment. But there is a major problem. Lewis Hall appears to be almost completely off the table. Manchester United had identified the Newcastle defender as their top target for the position, but the 21-year-old is now expected to remain at Newcastle. And if that is the case, United need to move quickly. The club cannot spend the final days of the window chasing a player who Newcastle simply do not want to sell. At some point, Manchester United have to move on and identify the next target. That is exactly why the latest report from James Ducker is interesting. United are in the market for a left-back, but it remains to be seen whether they will also look to bring in another midfielder or forward. And this could be one of the most important decisions of the entire transfer window. Do United focus everything on the left-back position, or do they try to strengthen multiple areas before deadline day? Personally, I think left-back has to be taken seriously. If Carrick and the recruitment team believe it is the weakest area of the squad, then fixing it should be the priority. You don't want to enter a long Premier League season knowing there is an obvious weakness in your starting 11. The Lewis Hall situation is disappointing, especially because United reportedly considered him their preferred option. But transfer windows are unpredictable. Sometimes your number one target becomes unavailable, and that is when the quality of the recruitment department really gets tested. Can United find an alternative who is perhaps not as expensive but still capable of making a major impact? That is the challenge now. And while we are talking about midfield, there is another name Manchester United continue to monitor, Adam Wharton. The Crystal Palace midfielder is reportedly on Michael Carrick's shortlist as United look at options for the deep-lying midfield role. Wharton is reportedly being considered alongside the club's new arrivals, Andrés Santos and Youri Tielemans. Now, this is where I think United need to be very careful. Wharton is a very exciting young midfielder, and his profile is extremely attractive. But Manchester United have already invested heavily in midfield. So the question is not simply, is Adam Wharton a good player? The question is, does Manchester United's squad actually need Adam Wharton right now?